When I was a freshman in college, I took a chemistry class that I found incredibly challenging. The tables were arranged in groups of 4, and I sat at a middle table on the left side, next to a guy named Zach. He was awkward and gave off Reddit moderator vibes. He was about 5 feet 8 inches, a bit overweight, with a patchy beard. Despite his appearance, he was knowledgeable about chemistry and seemed to excel in school overall. We started talking casually when he noticed I was struggling in class. He began helping me with homework and even let me cheat off his tests. He never flirted with me, probably because he was too awkward. Eventually, he asked for my number to send homework-related stuff, and I gave it to him since he had been a great help. He didn't seem threatening, just a bit reclusive. On the last day of class, Zach did something unexpected. He asked me out on a date. I had no interest in him either physically or personality-wise, but I wanted to let him down gently. I lied, saying I was going to Miami for the next couple of weeks. He immediately asked, "What about when you get back?" I hoped he would lose interest in that time, so I vaguely agreed. The rest of the class was awkward, and I left straight for my car afterward. That night, I went out with friends, and at some point, Zach texted, asking when I was going to Miami. I told my friends about him, and they joked that I should go on the date to be nice. I forgot to respond that night, and the next day, I woke up to follow-up texts, one with question marks and another accusing me of ignoring him. I replied, apologizing and saying I was packing for Miami that day. He responded almost instantly, saying, "Okay." Later that night, while out with my friends again, I received a terrifying text from Zach. "I thought you said you were going to Miami tonight." I showed it to my friends, and we were all freaked out. I asked Zach what he meant, and he replied, "Nothing, forget it. I just don't like liars." Feeling stalked, I looked around the bar but didn't see him. I decided not to answer him again. After I got home around 1 a.m., there was a knock at the door. It was Zach, saying, "It's me." I was home alone and terrified. I yelled through the door for him to leave, threatening that my dad would come out and kick his ass. That seemed to work, and he left. I texted everyone I knew about the situation, and my family and friends suggested calling the police. I planned to go to the station the next day. Before morning came, I received a long, creepy text from Zach. He claimed he felt used and hurt, accusing me of making up the Miami trip to avoid him. He expressed disappointment and even suggested he would make a great husband. He ended the message by offering to come to my house to talk. I was appalled and sent the message to everyone I knew, even calling my dad. He sent Zach a stern text and called him multiple times, but Zach didn't respond. I went to the police station the next day, and they tried to contact Zach for questioning, but he never answered. He completely disappeared from my life. I never saw him on campus again, and I can say I know what it's like to deal with an actual stalker. The weeks following that incident were some of the most stressful and fearful times of my life. I was constantly looking over my shoulder, expecting Zach to appear out of nowhere. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every unfamiliar face in a crowd sent chills down my spine. My friends and family were incredibly supportive, but the fear of being watched and followed was overwhelming. I changed my routines, avoided places I used to frequent, and took every precaution I could think of to stay safe. In those dark times, I learned a lot about the nature of fear and the importance of personal boundaries. Zach's behavior, while initially seeming like harmless awkwardness, escalated into something far more sinister. It taught me to be cautious about who I let into my life and the importance of trusting my instincts. My experience with Zach, though terrifying, ultimately made me stronger and more aware of the potential dangers that can lurk behind a seemingly friendly facade.